Do you dream of getting to a point in your life where if you didn't want to work, you didn't have to? Well, that's what we call the FIRE movement.
Yes.
Financial independence, retire early. But what would it take to be financially independent? Do you know?
A little bit of discipline, savings, communication with your spouse. Just a bunch of things go into it. But what's the specific?
There is really a specific number, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about what it means to be financially independent, so like an actual numerical definition, how to get there, the ways to get there, and how you can supercharge your way to financial independence, but not just financial independence, but what we want is the RE part, the retire early part.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, 55 is the number.
So hold tight for about 6 seconds and we'll be right back.
We'll be back.
Hey everyone, well I'm Wendy and my husband
Curtis,
and we together are the House of F.I.R.E. And we are all about helping moms and dads save more, spend less, and build wealth to achieve financial independence. My dream when we reach our financial independence number would be to live on the beach and basically just, raise my kids and do my passion projects. What's yours, babe?
At 55, and I'm going to be living on the beach because that's what her dream is. So, but mainly just be able to do what I want. I like working with wood. I like golfing, like some people do. But the biggest thing is to be around the family and be there for them. When need to be.
You think you'll still work?
I definitely will work. I mean, I love my job. I love teaching. So if I'm able to, I'll teach until my regular retirement age, which is 65. So that's what? How many years from now?
Well, we're almost 50, so
well, yes.
15.
15 years from now.
So as you can see, there are really two aspects of the FIRE movement. There's the financially independent part, which I think is a lot of where Kurt's focus is. And for me, there's the retiring early part. So together they make the FIRE community. Now, if you know our story, you know that about 3 years ago, we were in $1 million worth of debt. And we found this idea of financial independence, and we've been working really, really hard, cutting our expenses like crazy, saving like crazy, getting rid of debt. We got rid of our $500,000 mortgage, and we've been able to get rid of $650,000 of that debt. And in an upcoming video, we're going to talk about what's left, and that's our student loans, so stay tuned for that. And also, while you're at it, if you have not signed up for Robinhood yet, we have a link down below. If you sign up, I get a free stock, and you get a free stock, and we can all have some free money together. So sign up, and don't forget to subscribe if we are bringing value to your life. All right, so let's talk about the first thing, and that is what is financial independence? What does it take to get to financial independence?
So traditionally, when you save enough money and put it away, you'll have enough money to live off of for the rest of your life.
Right, and so in a number equation, typically that's put at 25 times your annual expenses. So for instance, if your expected expenses when you retire are $40,000 a year, you would want to make sure that you have saved up 25 times that, which is $1 million. And the how that's supposed to work, and it factors in inflation and all of that, is that you would then be able to take out up to 4% of that at the time of retirement and live on that in perpetuity, because the interest that you earn would outpace your withdrawals and you would have enough money. And that's based on the Trinity study, and we'll link that down below as well.
And it is also called the 4% rule.
Right. So if you want to get to financial independence, and a traditional route of doing that would be to just save every month and put money away. If you began saving $466 a month, it would take you 30 years to get to your number. Now there's some assumptions, and one of those assumptions are that you would be getting an 8% return, which is entirely possible if you look at the history of the stock market. And I'll link down below our retirement calculators that we use to come up with these numbers. So basically, if you started at 30 and you save $500 a month, you can retire at age 60, which is closer to a traditional retirement. So that's more of like a traditional retirement. Maybe you're not wanting to really focus on the retiring early part. You're focusing on the financial independence part. Save a certain amount and you retire at a traditional age. At that age, you'll be financially independent, and that's not including any other sources like Social Security or anything like that. Now, if you're following the numbers, you'll see that the numbers that I gave you doesn't necessarily add up to $1 million.
No,
And what's that the magic of, babe?
Compound interest.
Yeah, that's the magic of compound interest. So in actuality, you've really only saved just under $200,000 in principal, and the rest of it is all compound interest. It's that money you're depositing every single month, and every single month it's getting paid interest, and then you're getting interest upon that interest, and it just goes on, and that is just magic.
Yes, it is.
So what about people like me who I really don't want to have to save for 30 years? And we also started later in life, so we may not have 30 years. I mean, if we waited 30 years at this point, we wouldn't be financially independent until we were 80 years old.
Yeah.
So for someone like us, there's really a couple different ways to shorten that window. And one of the ways is to just save more money.
Yeah.
Right? So I want to give you an example. Let's say you upped your contributions up to $1,000 a month. How much shorter does that shorten your timeline to retire early? So if you increased that monthly savings to $1,000, it doesn't really cut the time in half, though. It doesn't. How much does it shave off? It shaves off about 5 years, a little over 5 years.
So it shaves off a little bit over 5 years.
Right. And again, down below, I'm going to link the calculator that I used to come up with these numbers, and that's on NerdWallet. And what's really cool about these calculators is that you can change a whole bunch of different things. You can change in whether or not you're going to get an additional pension to see how much that shaves, whether you're going to have additional sources of income, whether or not you're starting with a savings. So all of my assumptions that I'm working with are assuming that you're starting at zero, just so that we can make these examples. So definitely check out that link down below and play with it a little bit. So the second way that you can shorten that window, besides saving more money, is to increase your income and then put that into your retirement. So let's say you have now employed the first method of increasing your savings to $1,000 by saving more money, but you also start working maybe a little bit on the side, and you're also putting in an additional $500 on top of that, and now you're saving $1,500 a month. How much do you think we shorten it by then?
Probably around 7 to 8 years.
So you don't think it adds like maybe 2 years or so?
Yeah. I think
Okay,
about
well, let's
2
see.
years.
So this actually shaves off about another 5 years, which is still good, but for someone like me who wants to retire early, like ASAP, that's not going to work.
No.
So that brings us to the last way to speed up your financial independence and retire early plan, and this one is our favorite.
Yeah,
and
it's a little bit unorthodox.
Right, and it employs all of these together. So, and that's by increasing your additional income through other investment opportunities or by business income. And so we're actually employing both of those.
Yeah.
So if you've listened to some of our other videos, we began real estate investing last year, and our plan is to continue to do that every single year for the next 5 years until we get to a sum of $5,000 a month.
Yes.
When we achieve that, we will have reached financial independence. We will no longer have a need for Curtis's income anymore. And we could just stop working, both of us, if we opted to do that. So having this additional income stream from passive income is really another way. And you can use it either to completely cover your retirement expenses, or you can use it to offset a gap in what your other investments or like your index funds are going to bring you, or your retirement's going to bring you. And that's why we're employing an additional fourth way, which is our business income. So I have my own business now that I'm building. It's not making really very much right now at all, but the plan is for it to earn a certain dollar amount. And once we get to that, that is really just gravy. And what it does is it allows us to have these multiple streams of income that will provide for our monthly expenses, so that in 5 years, we will not only be financially independent, but we can retire early should we desire to do that, which that's my desire. So it's not his so much, but
not
it's
so
mine.
much.
But it's a way for you to, if you're in a situation like us where our timeline is really, really short, because we started later in life, or you're in a situation where maybe even you're 25 years old, but you decide that, look, I just don't want to work anymore, but I would rather like travel the world or have these other experiences, or maybe work on passion projects. So it really just gives you the freedom to choose, which not a lot of us have, and it's really incredible. You can do this. So if you've heard anything about the FIRE movement, you've heard it called, you've heard the different types of FIRE called a lot of different things. Do you know a couple of those?
Lean FIRE.
Right. And so lean FIRE would be, instead of maybe deciding that you can live on $40,000 a year, you found a way to live on significantly less than that. So like maybe you've decided that you're going to geo arbitrage and you're going to live in some place like Thailand, where you could live on less than $20,000 a year. So that's why it's called lean FIREs. You just strip down that budget and you live on really not a lot of money.
And the next one will be slow FIRE.
Slow FIRE. So slow FIRE is kind of like what we first started out with, the traditional FIRE, where you're really not so concerned with early retirement as you are with financial independence. So you're building your wealth to give you the freedom, but you really have no interest in speeding up that process.
And I like this one. It's fat FIRE.
So fat FIRE is for people who want financial independence, but they want to live fat. So people who maybe want to live on $10,000 a month.
Yes.
I mean, if you just do the math and you figure $120,000 a year times 25, like you're going to need to save a lot more money. Or increase your cash flow at retirement quite a bit more through different means, like a business or real estate.
And the next one is coast FIRE.
Coast FIRE. So this one I've only heard of recently. So it's really like what it sounds. It's for someone who maybe really doesn't want to contribute their whole lives, so they have this really short window where they really, really save aggressively for maybe 5 or 10 years, and then they stop contributing, and then they just let compounding do its work. So they're not necessarily at year 11 contributing as aggressively as they were before, maybe even not at all, and they're just letting that money sit there and compound to get to the number that they want. So not for everybody, but it's a cool idea, I guess.
And the last one, I mean, I'm thinking of coffee, but it's barista FIRE. What is barista FIRE?
So barista FIRE is, so maybe someone for maybe like they need health insurance, or maybe they just really enjoy working, but like they don't want the stress or responsibility, or they just want to be able to work part-time. So they factor in having a little bit of income coming in to maintain their financial independence. So they've still saved, but maybe they stop working a traditional job at some point and then do some sort of part-time income that brings in just a little bit or gives them health insurance.
So what would our FIRE be? Like crazy, unorthodox? I mean, you know.
I think
think we're any of them. We're not slow fire. We're crazy fire.
I think we're just fire. Like we're
Yeah.
just fire.
Unorthodox fire.
I like crazy fire.
Yeah, I do like crazy fire.
Because we've really had to think outside the box
Yes.
to make our desire work the math.
Yeah.
And so part of that is, you know, as we mentioned earlier, is that so we're not completely debt free.
No.
We have $350,000 student loans left. And like everything else, we are not attacking those traditionally.
No.
So stay tuned for our next video where we go over what consists our $350,000 student loan debt, how we kind of got into that position, and our unorthodox plan to tackle it. And I bet it's not what you think it is.
It's crazy.
All right, guys, come back next week. We'll see you. Bye.
Bye.